Hey guys, this is RKL here, and it has been a little while. I am majorly due for an update. In my defense though, I did make an update video after I posted that sort of more somber sort of like revision of my collection video. I did actually make a conclusion video to that. Unfortunately it got deleted accidentally, which sucks because it was freaking hilarious for the first part, because a lizard totally popped into my window and it scared me and it was really funny. But anyway, beside that, yes, I did make a little update video, or rather a bigger update video, but it did get deleted, so like most things, when I get mad at them, I tend to just sort of ignore them for a while, and then I'm like, okay, now I can come back to it, since I got mad at myself for making that video and then deleting it. But yes, anyway, so I have quite a lot of updates that I want to go ahead and tell you, so this video will be kind of long, probably really long, so I definitely apologize ahead of time. But for those of you guys who like listening to my little dolly rambles and where I am in the hobby and stuff, then hopefully you don't mind too much. But anyway, first and foremost, I have a lot of dolls in this frame here. You can't really see all of them too super well since I'm pretty zoomed out so you can see all of them, but these are all of my dolls as of right now that are complete, minus one, which is Etzel. I have to redo his face up, but aside from that, these are all of the dolls that I have currently right now that are complete and fine and dandy and all that good stuff. You might notice that there is another one that is missing, and that's sort of like my first little update. In one of my previous videos, like I said, I was talking about sort of my collection and where I am in the hobby, and that this sort of, I guess this sort of like year for me has been a lot about like learning the sort of stuff that I like in the hobby and what really matters to me. And a big thing that matters to me now that I didn't really consider too much when I first joined the hobby was how my dolls interacted with each other, especially characters that, you know, maybe brother and sister or their lovers or things like that. Like, I didn't put too much consideration into how they looked together. I just sort of wanted to have dolls that represented them. But now, after I've been in the hobby for a while, it's become really important to me that my dolls not only fit the characters really well, but also work well with the other characters in their story. And so now that I know that, it has kind of led me onto a road of sort of changing some things and reshelling some dolls and, you know, just fine-tuning my collection as a whole, because like I always say that, like, you know, I want to collect dolls. I don't want to just have one or two of them. Like, I want to have a little collection of them, but I do want them to all be very perfect and very refined, and that's something that's very important to me. So you can probably tell that my doll Shu, my very first doll, you probably all know, he is not in this little group photo thing, and that is because I have come to a conclusion on him. Like I said, he was my first doll, and it was a really hard conclusion to come to, but as much as I love him as that particular doll, and I love that doll, and it was my first doll, and I love it, and all that good stuff, like I said, I really want my doll characters to really work well together, and Shu, as that particular doll, didn't really embody the sort of, I guess, like, even age that he is when he's with my other two characters, Etzel and Calliope. And you guys probably know that I had Calliope as a doll at one point, and she didn't end up working out either. But those three characters are really important to each other, and I want those three to work really well together because, you know, they spend most every minute with each other once they do end up meeting each other. So it's very important for me to sort of see them and see them work well together, if that makes sense. And I always sort of saw Shu's doll version as slightly younger, and again, you guys probably won't really know what I'm talking about if you guys don't know my characters very well, but for the few of you who do, my character Shu, he has sort of like, I draw him at different intervals of ages. one of which, when he's older, he's with a character named Etzel, and that's sort of like the sort of beginning chapter, I guess you could say, of his life. And I always sort of saw Shu in that particular doll form as that sort of stage, like a little bit younger and with a different character and sort of like a different part of his life, I guess you could say. Of course, he's still the same character, but just a different stage of his life. And then, of course, when he meets Etzel and Calliope slightly a little bit later, it's definitely a new chapter for him. And so seeing him kind of in that younger form and not quite as mature, it was a little bit distracting for me. He didn't like really work with them too well. And also the doll itself, like his head is really, really huge, so it's really hard to find dolls that are proportionately the same. So it is with a heavy heart that I have decided that I do want to part with him, which is unfortunate, like I said, because he is my first doll. But really, more than anything, it's the characters themselves that mean a lot to me and not necessarily the physical doll. So I'm not really as distraught over it as I thought I would be. I've come to notice in this hobby that like when something bothers me and I want to fix it, that yeah, it's sad that I might have to part with some things to do that, or, you know, part with a doll to reshell them, but at the same time the characters themselves are still prominent in my mind, and of course I want to reshell them and I want them to be back. It's not like, you know, I'm just shuffling characters in and out and in and out. Like, I really want certain characters of mine to be as dolls, and until they are perfect, I think it's okay that I sort of have a little bit of trial and error with them because I want them to be perfect. So I have decided on that. And some other things that I've also thought about in the hobby as far as my collection is concerned is, I almost knocked the camera over, is about the sizes of dolls that I want to collect. And you can see that I have quite a few of them here, but if you guys know, I don't own any SD size dolls, and I've kind of come to the conclusion that I don't really want to. At least not any resin SD size dolls at this moment in time. That might change in the future, of course. But at this moment in time, I really don't foresee myself getting any SD size dolls. And I really, since all of my characters are like in the MSD range, USD range, or smaller, they wouldn't really work too well with the characters that I have existing. So unless I wanted to pursue an entirely different story and have those characters be SDs, then I don't think I'll really change my mind. That being said, there is a Grail doll that I really, really, really would love to have, but I highly doubt I will ever own. And that is Dolphy Dream Mariko. And if I could ever own her someday, she's an SD size doll, I would love to own her. She's a Dolphy Dream, so that's not technically resin, but I highly doubt I will ever own her, so it's not a big deal. But that would be the exception, I think. So I have decided that since I'm not going to have SD size dolls anymore, that the SD size floating head that I had for a while, you guys probably maybe know, was a Sweet Gail Malcolm, which I absolutely love that face so much. I love that face so much. I love that face so much. It's really, really adorable, and I'm really sad that I couldn't like shell him or pursue that character. But like I said, I'm not really interested in SD size dolls anymore, so again, I'm not too super distraught over having to part with him, which I have actually already done. I have already sold him to a very nice person in Korea, so I went ahead and mailed him. So yeah, that is good that, you know, he's going to a new home where hopefully someone will actually, you know, like, use him and appreciate him, and not just have him sit in a box forever like I did for a year. So, you know, it's always, there's always a silver lining, I guess. I am sad to see it go, though, because I really love that face, but if I'm not going to use something, there's really no sense in me keeping on to it, which I've kind of realized recently, I guess. But as far as some other things, like selling things and that kind of stuff, there are a few, like, random pieces of clothing that I might sell soon, that I just don't really use, so I'll probably post those on DOA sometime. But yeah, just not a lot of things, just a few little clothing pieces that my dolls don't really wear. For some reason, I tend to accumulate a lot of green clothes, and as you can see, that not a lot of my dolls wear green. So Grimly is the only one, and of course they are a completely different size. But I didn't even I'm so bad. This is how unprofessional I am with videos. I should have went ahead and told you what each of my dolls are. But, of course, I'll just link them in the description anyway. So if you want to know, I guess you can look there. Because now I feel really dumb if I explained it right now. Because, you know. Anyway, hopefully you guys have seen all these guys before. If you've been watching my videos for any amount of length of time, you should have seen most of these, if not all of them. But yeah, okay, so I'm like, I have a little list here, and I'm like, how do I go about, like, explaining this in an orderly fashion? So yeah, those are some things that I've wanted to part with, and I also have some other updates as far as dolls that will be incoming, or things that will be incoming as well, which is really, really exciting. I'm really happy to have some good news amongst all the sort of sadder news, which really isn't sad for me, so, you know, if it comes across like I'm, like, sad or not happy in the hobby, it's definitely not like that. I think I'm actually very happy because I'm making changes that I've kind of been sitting on for a really long time. You know, maybe because of, like, fear from other people to a certain extent, or also because I was just unsure of whether or not they were the right decisions. I'm a really indecisive person sometimes, so, like, actually deciding on a conclusion is, you know, a big thing. But I'm definitely happy. So, even if I don't sound like it, I'm definitely really happy to have things moving and changing and evolving and becoming closer to what I ideally want, which is, you know, I think the point of the doll hobby, I think, for me, anyway. But anyway, as far as dolls that are incoming, hopefully my Minifee Luca, I almost said my Minifee Euclid, my Minifee Luca, hopefully should be incoming sometime soon. I'm hoping within the next, like, week or two, whenever the next batch of DDE orders ships, mine should be in there, I think, hopefully. Crossing my fingers, but I think, judging from the waiting room, the next, like, batch of DDE orders should have my Minifee Luca in there, which I'm really excited about. And in that order is also the Little Fee New Family faceplate, I think is what it is. Not the Minifee one, but the Little Fee one, which I've only seen like 2 or so pictures of. I don't really think that I'll end up using it. I haven't, like, 100% decided. I'm not a huge fan of Little Fee bodies, especially their hands. I really don't like Little Fee hands. I've been really spoiled with little Rem here, who's my YoSD human boy. He has, like, the prettiest little slim fingers, like the best YoSD hands ever. I love his hands. And now ever since I've seen them, like, having, like, really chubby pointy fingers on YoSDs, I'm like, nope. But anyway, yeah, I don't really think that I'll end up using that faceplate. I'm not too sure. There's one other character that... there's 2 other characters that I want to get as dolls that would be in the YoSD size range, one of which is a normal skin and kind of might fit that faceplate, but I'm not really sure. I don't really think so, but I'll have to wait and see when I get it. So I might end up holding on to it, or I might end up parting with it again, just because the notion that I don't want to keep things that I don't have plans for and that I don't think that I will use anytime soon or ever. So I might be parting with that. But I'm just really ridiculously excited for my Minifee Luca now. Like, it hasn't really hit me until the last few weeks, but I'm really excited. I think part of me was really nervous throughout the whole waiting period, I guess. Because that's another character that's really important to one of my existing dolls. So with the trouble that I've been having, you know, making my dolls work well together within their own stories, I'm just a little bit apprehensive, but I'm really excited now. And if you don't know, my Minifee Luca is going to be my character Euclid, who is really important to this guy right here. Yeah, they are part of the same story and are very important to each other, so I hope that they will work really well together. They will look nice together. That's what I'm really hoping, is that they work out really well together. So I'm crossing my fingers for that. I think they will, but of course, with my past history, I can never be too certain anymore. But Really, really excited for that though. I'm like, come on, ship, please. I'm just, oh man. It's been a while. But anyway, I do have one other pretty big sort of announcement thing, I guess, as far as new dolls are concerned. I already posted it on Flickr, and I think I also mentioned it on Twitter as well, but I'm not too certain on that. But yes, I did post it on Flickr. Soom has a new MSD size doll they came out with. I'm sure you guys have probably seen it. It's a mermaid, which is really, really cool. I've actually wanted an MSD size mermaid for a really, really long time, but I don't really have a character for it. Not really. I do, but that character, it's hard to explain. But yeah, I've always wanted an MSD size mermaid, but that is completely beside the point. I really like a boy mermaid. That'd be pretty amazing. But anyway, I'm just rambling. But yes, I really, really love their faces when I first saw them, and I was like, wow, their faces are so pretty, and I just kept gravitating towards them, and I wasn't really sure why. Like, they're, like, usually when it comes to dolls, like, if I see something pretty, I'm like, oh yeah, that's super pretty, I'd love to have that someday. But then usually, like, you know, the desire to have them goes away really quickly, because I'm like, okay, I don't really have a character for this doll, or I don't really know what I would do with it, so, you know, just put it out of my mind kind of thing. But in this particular case, I was just like really, like, it was really adamant in my mind about that particular doll, and I really didn't understand why. And then it sort of hit me that the face really reminds me of like a slightly older version of Shu, especially like where the mouth is concerned, because like it's sort of like a running trope now. The way that I draw Shu's mouth is like usually kind of open, and you can kind of see his top teeth, and that's how his old doll form looked as well, and it's been like a thing now, like it will not go away. That's sort of synonymous with him now, so I didn't really notice that at first, but then I sort of like looked at it, and I'm like, it really does to me seem like a sort of older version of Shu. And once I saw that, I was kind of doomed, because I was like, oh no, what have I done? So I kind of made a little bit of a rash decision, I guess you could say, although I've had some time to think it over, honestly, and I've been thinking about Shu and my dolls, like I said, for quite a while. And I do want him to look a little bit older and to work well with the other two members of his little trio. So I kind of went ahead and purchased the human version of Soom Saren, I believe, is the Saren and Rico are their names. And I went ahead and purchased the human version. They only come with girl bodies though, which really frustrates me, but I do have, as you can notice, I do have 3 little gem boys, and as much as I love their bodies for them, I don't think it would quite suit Shu, because he's not quite as muscular as they're built. He's not anywhere near that, so it's okay. I didn't really want him to have a little gem boy body. But they actually did come out with a new bust for the little gem girl body, and it's slightly smaller at the, like, what do they call that? The, like the shoulders. Like the shoulder collarbone area. It's slightly smaller there, and it has a little bit more of a bust to it. And thinking about it, because I've mentioned this before, I really want Shu, Calliope, and Etzel to be basically the exact same height. It's been a while since I mentioned that, but yeah, I want them to be basically the exact same height, because they're pretty much that in canonly. They're pretty much all the same height. And Calliope is a little bit more like pear-shaped and has a little bit thicker thighs and narrower shoulders, of course, you know, because she's a girl. And then she has kind of a smaller bust, and so I think that that particular body will actually work really well for her, especially considering that like little gems are pretty much in that typical MSD size range, which is ideally what I want for all 3 of them to be like standard MSD sized. So I just went ahead and got the human girl version with the idea that I can use that particular body for whenever I get Calliope. So it isn't white skin though, but I'm fairly confident in my abilities to blush things. It's not a difficult thing if you're a face-up artist. So the head, ideally, I would like to try out for Shu, so I will blush that to be normal skin, which again is not difficult. So, and the body, of course, will go to Calliope. So it's progress on both of those dolls, actually, which is really, really great, because again, those are kind of like my priority at this particular moment in time. I really want to focus a lot on Etzel and Calliope, and Shu, of course, and reshelling him. So hopefully that will all work out. There is also a not sleeping head, like a semi-closed eye head as well, which I don't really think that I'll end up using, but I'm not too certain yet. Again, it's like really soon. I probably won't see that order until like December or so, so it's still really soon. But I don't know if I'll really end up using it, but we'll see. Yeah, so I'm really, really excited about that. Like I said, I'm really glad that I'm making progress on all of those characters and dolls at the same time, which is really good. I did also mention Etzel. He's not in this video because his face-up, I'd have to redo it. It looks really bad. But I did also mention in the video that got deleted that I was thinking about some new body options for some of my dolls, and of course, now that Shu has a different face sculpt and he doesn't have a body now I have to consider that as well. But I've also been thinking of getting Etzel a new body as well. Though, again, the blushing thing, I don't think any company, their resin will ever match his, so it'll be a matter of blushing. But again, that's something that I can do easily enough. But like I said, I want all three of them to be in sort of that like typical MSD size range. So I was actually thinking maybe of getting them, Shu and Etzel, both Kid Delph boy bodies, because they're really similar in sort of like height compared to Little Gem boy bodies, but they're slightly less muscular, which is really nice. They don't have quite the definition and the collarbone and such. So they're like a bit younger looking, but they're still that kind of standard MSD height range, which I really want all three of them to be. So, like, comparatively to the Little Gem girl body, which is comparative to the Little Gem boy body, so that's how I kind of can judge the height there. So ideally I want to get both of them the exact same body, because then I know for a fact that they will be the same height, and that will not be something I have to worry about. Of course, you know, the blushing thing will have to be a thing, but, you know, luckily Lutz has tan type resins, so that won't be an issue for Etzel, which is great. That's another reason why I think that I want to get that body for him, because they have a darker tan resin, which again I don't think will be really close to his, since he's more of like a, I hate using food terms because it's kind of derogatory, but it's more of like a milk chocolatey color. So Lutz dark tan resin looks a little bit like a different shade, but hopefully it'll work out. Like I said, I can blush things, so I'm not too worried about it. But hybridizing things is so confusing sometimes, and it's really a gamble, but I think this hobby and my dolls are really important to me, and the characters they represent are really important to me as well. And so I really do want to give it my all and really try my best to make them exactly how I envision them, and for them to be perfect in my own eyes. Maybe not to everyone else, obviously, because everyone has a different idea of ideal and such, but for me and my own characters and my own dolls, it's really important to me now more than ever that I fulfill them, like, to their fullest potential, I guess. And so I really want to make a lot of changes for things that really bother me and such, because I want them to be great and perfect, and don't want to have to be annoyed with them all the time. So Etzel's body is single jointed, so that's why I'm annoyed with it. But yeah, so oh, I forgot one more thing too. Also, when I ordered from Soom, they're doing a body sale right now, which basically you can get bunch of different bodies that they offer and a bunch of different resin tones, because a lot of times Soom dolls have extra heads. So like once a year or so they do like a body sale, so you can get extra bodies for those floating heads sometimes if you need to. But they also have hands available as well for certain bodies and all the different skin tones. And I think I mentioned it before, I can't remember, but my doll River here, who's up in the front with the little flowery crown, he has little cat paws and little cat feet, and they're definitely true to his character at certain points because he can have little cat paws and cat feet. But he doesn't always have those. They're usually more of like human hands. It's only in certain situations where he has the paws and the feet. The tail and the ears are always constant, but the hands and the feet aren't a thing that is always there. And I really want to get him human hands just because they're a bit more diverse, and also human feet someday as well because I want him to wear shoes so he can stand. But unfortunately they don't give you the option for choosing feet, but at least I can get him some new hands now, which is really, really great. And I went ahead and did that, so I got him 2 pairs of bronze hands so they will match him. One is like a fist hand, and another one, I can't remember the other one that I got for him, but anyway. Yeah, so he finally has new hands, and also Soom Siren, the mermaid doll, which I'm getting as a human, it also comes with 2 different hands. One is like a really elegant, sort of like long-fingered hand, and the other one is the normal, like, is the traditional little gem hands, which Faustus actually has, which you can't really see very well. But yeah, it actually comes with 2 different hands, so luckily for me that's amazing because I wanted to actually get regular hands for Nostalgion, who's my centaur in the background, holding little Grimly. I like his little fisty hands, but I want him to not always look angry 24/7, so now he will have open hands too. And the new, the new Soom Cream White, will match him, of course, because it's the new version. It won't match Faustus because it's the old version. I don't know if you can tell, but they're really different colors. But anyway, this video was really, really long. I'm sorry. I had lots of update things to talk about, and I really feel like this video wasn't quite as, like, sincere, I guess, as the original video that I did of it, but after, like, after doing it once and then having to like recall exactly what you said and then say it again, I think that always loses a bit of sincerity to it, but hopefully at least I made sense, even though it was a lot of stuff to process, but hopefully I got it out more eloquently this time at least, even if it did lose a bit of sincerity to it. But yes, all in all, some things are changing, but I'm very, very happy for that, and all the characters that I'm revamping are still going to exist. They're not going away. And I have no plans to sell any of these guys anytime soon because I really like the way that they are right now. So, yeah. It's not like any sort of big thing. I don't know. I'm just worried you guys are gonna be like, Arkell, why are you doing this? Unsubscribe. So, anyway, I'm sure you guys won't, but, you know. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. If you did, really, I deeply appreciate you guys sitting through like 28 minutes of me rambling about dolls. So, thank you guys so much for watching. Bye!